I had a little time, during the break to look at completion percentage and see whether it improves in pro football.
Yes.
And so Aaron Rodgers was plus 1%, Brady was plus 2%, and Drew Brees was plus 6%. So maybe we need to review that study.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Good platform to bring
we need to review that study. I just put together a list.
Just a quick list.
Completion percent. This is an interesting problem that they're facing because there's been a lot of positive things said about Kyler Murray and his potential to come in and play and change the organization, but they've had a chance to sit back and evaluate the quarterback that they have. And I think the fact that he went through that camp and he was able to spend some time with Josh Rosen and see the intellect that he has, and he said several times during the press conference how impressed he was from a mental standpoint, how impressed he was with his work ethic, how impressed he was with the throws that he can make. It doesn't sound like, and all that seems sincere. It wasn't fluff. To me, there's a conflict there. I don't know if he has a real conviction that they're gonna upgrade a quarterback by bringing in Kyler Murray.
And the coach, after seeing, because he hadn't been around pro football, and let me tell you something, the number of good throwers of the football that you can put in the NFL, in the NFL practice, there's so many more than college. There's only a couple guys that can throw the ball in college. So sitting with Josh Rosen, talking to him about football, talking to him about concepts, seeing the film from last year, what were you thinking in these situations? I could see why they would get cold feet. Because right now, if the owner and Steve Keim come to him and say, hey, can you guarantee me this kid can throw the ball on these things you want to do better than the kid we have? He can't guarantee that because Josh can throw the ball. He can read defense. He is a bright guy. He is a good leader. So now you're bringing in the variable of what a guy is going to be in the NFL locker room compared to who Josh Rosen is today after suffering through a brutal rookie season. They can't guarantee that Kyler is better. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start to get cold feet, start to entertain offers, because this is not Cliff Kingsbury in college. Well, hey, if you had the #1 draft, what would you do? Man, I'd take Kyler.
Yeah, it's easy to throw
well, now you got him. Now you got the opportunity to be able to take him. Seems a lot easier now. He is under the gun, and a lot of his career will be determined based on this selection. I believe he has more time if they decide to move off the pick, stay with Josh Rosen. I believe people will be patient, more patient with the veteran quarterback than they will be if he decides to go with Kyler.
Well, this is where incentives are not aligned because Cliff Kingsbury definitely, I believe, has more time if they stick with Josh Rosen. But Steve Keim, the GM, does not. So Steve Keim, the GM, if Rosen, he made two huge decisions last year, Rosen and the coach, right? If they allowed him to fire the coach and bring in a new coach, if they move off Rosen immediately and go with Kyler, then it's, hey, I'm supporting the coach I hired using this pick. If they
but it's also saying, man, forget the coach. That's my guy. The coach might want to go with somebody different, but I decided to because it's going to be written what's best for both of them going forward.
Right. I just think for Steve Keim, if they stick with Josh Rosen and he stinks next year, then Steve Keim's the guy on the hot seat. Because then you are drafting a quarterback. You did just hire this coach. You're not going to fire the coach. Like, I think that they can move off Josh Rosen and say, hey, that wasn't a bad pick. We think he's going to be a good player. We just think this guy is a once-in-a-generation talent. He can say, I made one mistake last year. That was the coach. We fixed it, as opposed to having to acknowledge you made two.
I can see that.
Go ahead.
And going back to the idea that this is an imperfect science, if you look back in 1987 with Steve Young.
Sure.
So they move on from Steve Young. Tampa Bay does. They trade him to the 49ers, and they bring in Vinny Testaverde, who was considered a once-in-a-generational talent. And look, Vinny had a nice career, but I'd say Steve Young had a better career, and he struggled early, and a lot of quarterbacks struggle early, and it's understanding the difference between, is this struggle because the system wasn't a fit? Was it a struggle because we didn't have the right things in place? Was it defense and special teams? How did it all fit together? Or are we really upgrading the team by bringing in Kyler Murray? And it's a big distinction.
Here's the thing. I would stick with Josh Rosen. I believe in Josh Rosen. I would use the capital that the #1 overall pick can garner and try to upgrade a team that is bereft of talent. That was the worst pass blocking offensive line in football last year. That, despite having David Johnson, had the least efficient running game of anyone in football last year. That has holes on defense despite having a great corner and a really good pass rusher, and they brought in Terrell Suggs, so maybe one really good pass rusher and one aging pass rusher. You have so many needs. That's what I would do. But I believe when it comes to organizations, teams, companies, in a consistent decision flow. And when you hire this coach, when you hire a coach who was fired at his alma mater with a losing record and was going to have to downgrade to college coordinator, it is because you think with a special particular quarterback, he can give you a special particular offense. That's why they're going to draft Kyler. That's why I think all of this other stuff is smoke and mirrors, not to get a better offer for the #1 pick, but to generate a better offer for Josh Rosen today.
Yeah, I don't think Steve Keim, and I know Steve Keim, I don't think he hired Kingsbury because he thought he's got to have a special quarterback. I think when he sat down with Cliff, he thought he was talking to someone who was special and can have a special impact on the quarterback room. Like, you can't expect the coach, oh man, this guy can only coach if he's got a special quarterback. Well, shoot, everyone's on that list, you know. But I believe that they thought that his impact on young quarterbacks was so special that they went outside of what they typically would hire to be able to hire him as the coach.
Yeah, I definitely see that. If you're hiring a guy just because you think that he needs a special quarterback and it's going to be a special offense, you're just hiring an offensive coordinator. You're not hiring a head coach. Ideally, you're hiring a head coach that can see the big picture. And part of the big picture is, if we go and spend this capital on another quarterback, is he a significant enough upgrade? Or are we better at to spend our resources somewhere else?
The opportunity cost of what else you could do with that #1.
And it's interesting, too, what kind of offers are they really getting for this pick? And where, let's say he doesn't go #1, where will he go? That'll be really intriguing if it happens.
All right, Coach, we'll see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow.
Thanks.